Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Reconcilable Differences with Danny and Jane. It is our couple's look at the world, a world that, in a good way, seems to be changing a little bit, and it's reflected in this episode of Reconcilable Differences as we'll get to talk about some fun things we're doing and the world opening up a little bit and embracing some joys of life that we haven't experienced in a long time, and maybe take a detour or two, just like we took a detour. We took a trip to St. Charles, Missouri, but we didn't do it the way that's no fun, which is taking I-70, which is always a disaster. So we took the 36 highway route, and that certainly is a lot more fun and a lot more interesting and brings the joys of the road a little bit as well. And a concert we attended, the Mavericks were back in town after an 18-month wait, basically, for us to see this concert. And all that's part of the mix today as we talk about taking our masks off and trying to feel better about the world. And we'll do it coming up next right here on Reconcilable Differences with Danny and Jane. It's part of Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. The bitter cold snap in February was just another intense reminder of how important it is to have a quality heating and cooling company on your side. That's why you need to know about my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Jeff Dillon and his top-quality staff provide honest, affordable, and reliable service all year long. Their number one priority is taking care of the customer and focus on being genuine, always following through and standing behind what they say and do. If you need HVAC or AC repair, it's important you get help from a team of professionals. Dillon's Heating and Cooling's team can walk you through a range of products, the advantages of heating and cooling systems, and ultimately help you find the best HVAC system for you. They're always glad to answer your questions and set up an appointment for an installation consultation. Whether you're looking to upgrade to a newer model of your current system or need one installed in a new home, give my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling a call today at 913-214-0529. That's 913-214-0529, or visit dillonsheatingandcooling.com to answer all of your questions. Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Their slogan is their goal, always treating you like family. We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodall from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from RecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit recexpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Welcome back, and I guess it was appropriate, my dear, that two of the first fun things we've done in a long, long time as far as getting out in public came within just a few days of each other. You had a business trip that was long planned. I provided the driving expertise, or at least the manpower, skill, whatever you want to call it, to head to St. Charles, Missouri, where you were going to conduct some business. I didn't have any business to conduct. All I had to do was drive and then have a good time and ride a bike and do all that other good stuff. But we got out on the road, and we'll start there. And who doesn't hate driving on I-70? So a couple times we've done this. Once when we went to Cincinnati, we took the 36 route. We've driven 36 in Kansas, as a matter of fact, on a past trip as well. And what that means is generally that we get up and we go and we head north. And when we get on 36 and a little bit into the trip, it's time for lunch.
Oh, we had it was amazing because, the CDC suddenly lifted their, the mask order. And I think nobody knows what's going on yet. And so we weren't sure when we would go in or into a restaurant or whatever we did for our little 3-day jaunt, what was going to happen. What was really awesome to get out, you sort of felt like people starting to get a little bit, excited about the fact that maybe there's some freedom. And it was awesome. And the weather was pretty great. And it was a more relaxing trip on a not quite as busy a highway.
That is true, and I can highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't done that. Now you have to decide for yourself if you want to take the extra hour or so that it will take to head about probably 70 or 80 more miles to head north and then head south when you get to Hannibal, Missouri, basically. But stop number one was the tiny burg of Brookfield, Missouri for lunch. Very nice little place that we ate, nice people. And for the first time in ages, I walked into a restaurant with no mask on. Now, I'm sort of the feeling that if we went to Brookfield, Missouri 3 months ago, there wouldn't have been anybody wearing a mask in there. We would have. But anyway, that was kind of refreshing. And when you first do your first couple of things, because we have been dedicated mask wearers, it feels a little strange.
Yes, indeed. It was also very strange walking in smelling smoke.
That's right. I forgot that.
I'm like, oh my God, people are smoking in this restaurant. It wasn't too bad because I wouldn't have stayed, but it was a hoot. We had a fabulous server.
We did.
And small towns can have great charm. It was really fun.
It was fun. And that was, sometimes the server can really increase the enjoyment level. She was a small-town girl raised in Brookfield, but had gone to the big city, Kansas City, and spent some time there. And San Diego, I think she said, too. I believe so. She lived. And but now she was back and helping out with her family and relatives and things like that. And she really seemed to be happy and enjoying herself there. And
somehow she could tell we were not from Brookfield.
I guess that would be taken as a compliment, I think. But, yeah, you're right. It is pretty jarring anytime now, COVID time, anytime, to walk into a place where smoking is actually still allowed, and that probably is only in smaller communities, and even there it's pretty unusual. But it's instantly noticeable. Now, as you said, this wasn't really too bad, and I think there were maybe only 2 people smoking in there, but you notice it right a minute. The olfactory gets kicked in pretty quickly.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, it was really fun because I was laughing because as we were going through Hannibal to get down to 70, we passed this sort of Deliverance-looking place. It was a taxidermy place that looked like you weren't sure if you'd ever walk out if you walked in, kind of environment. But so there was a lot of interesting roadside kill, as it were.
And we've stayed in Hannibal before, and I've stayed there I stayed there 2 other times, I believe. I actually one time got a traffic ticket from one of those, I think cities have kind of stopped doing this, but it was one of those ones where they take a photograph of you, and I definitely was going through a light. Now this was quite a while ago, and the light was a trap. There was no doubt about it. I mean, it was like the light went yellow, red, like that. I mean, literally like that.
Disgusting. Yes.
And you got the picture in the mail, and there I was, hands 10 and 2, and the light, you could see the light up above.
I remember the photo.
Well, I absolutely remember it. But Hannibal's a fun place to go to, and if as things open up and everything, we rode on the riverboat, and we did that one time. So that was fun. That was on the way back from Cincinnati, I think, one time, I do believe. But then it was down, taking the route south to Wentzville and on to I-70 and on to St. Charles, and we stayed just off basically in the historic old downtown. I'd never been there. It's quite a place.
Oh, it was fabulous. I hadn't been there in many, many years, and that city has really, the historic Main Street has grown, so there's a lot more to do, a lot more retail, bars and restaurants, right on the Main Street there, and they're trying to kind of liven up again after COVID. There's some issues with, staffing still, but they're trying to buoy that up. But they have the arena, they've got the river walk. That's going to be quite an exciting environment. A great place to bike. They have a convention center, and then that Frenchtown that's beginning to pop, and then Newtown, which is a whole traditional neighborhood design neighborhood, just past Frenchtown, which I never knew even existed there, and that's been there for a while, which has grown to amazing heights. And it still feels like it's almost like you feel like you're in the Civil War era.
You mentioned it. We still are in a recovery phase. The hotel we stayed at was just fine, but they told us unless requested, they weren't going to clean the rooms because they're down in staffing. But that seemed to be about I don't eat breakfast, so I don't care. But they had breakfast in a bag, which wasn't particularly good. But they didn't go all out, to say the least, on that. So we're still inching back a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, but it was you had a chance to bike ride for the afternoon while I was off in meetings with the city, and it was so fun because talking with people that have grown up there. They're excited because they're feeling like there's a sense of, possibility that the casino has done well, but they've been down somewhat room nights because, people have been afraid to get out. But they've got some great hotels in that area. And so I highly recommend a little 2-day trip.
The bike trail was very nice. It came right to the river. It's the Katy Trail there, and I rode for about, probably 25, 30 miles, and I actually had lunch at the same place that I rented my bike at. It was the Bike Cafe.
Bike Stop or something?
Yes, Bike Stop Cafe. That was it. It was the Bike Stop Cafe. And I did wander around the downtown. I didn't really see anything that kind of struck my fancy. And I said, well, I guess I'll keep it simple. And I had very low expectations for lunch at the Bike Stop Cafe. I figured, well, it'll be okay. It was tremendous. And then I got a nice bike and very smooth and wonderful, and it was a lovely day. And it was it's really something that you can tell that this little area there is very well designed for a 2 or 3 day getaway.
Well, in Frenchtown, they're taking those industrial buildings, the one that were American Train, the train company, and they're going to be renovating those into retail and apartments right on the river there. And then they have the that climbing wall place, which is awesome. And they also have the Arts Center, Foundry Arts Center, which is doing some great different gallery openings, which is really, really kind of fun for artists to join in. So, and if you want to go right into St. Louis, you're there.
Yeah, you're right there. We were going to go to the Botanical Garden, but it just was a little bit backwards for us the final day, and weather was maybe a little bit dodgy, but we decided to do that when we could really soak it in and have a better day at that. But just the refreshing feeling of getting out was really something.
Well, and just when we go to restaurants, we were still careful, but it was so you could tell people were feeling giddy a little bit, kind of like maybe in the 1920s. I have a feeling once things really open up,
right?
Everybody beware. It's going to be a party. Well,
there's one really interesting sidebar here that I'll note, and I know you feel a little embarrassment about it, but you really shouldn't, is that we went to the restaurant and Jane was backlit by the sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
The sun was going down, and she was like aglow in the sun. And so she was facing me, and the sun was behind her. And so you could see all the little bit of dust, just like you do only when the sun is really bright in your house or a shaft of sunshine comes in. And as we were speaking, I noticed in this time of COVID that every time you spoke, there were little particles of spittle that you could see, 8, 10, 12, every time you were speaking. And I thought to myself, boy, this would have made a dandy PSA about
for COVID
about a year ago, because you just don't realize it. And I'm like, that's amazing. That really is amazing.
I'm just one person. If you're in a giant room tight with a bunch of people, it's just impossible to hold that. And it's still airborne. So I say people should still be careful because we know not everyone's vaccinated.
Right. I guess that's the only thing that's a little unusual about the CDC announcement. They say that you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Well, there's no way in the world to know if somebody's vaccinated.
I know. It's a little scary.
I think you still see a little bit of caution. Most people I have to see in the grocery store. For some reason, that seems to be the place where people are staying masked the most. But what we'll get into after the first break is a place where we saw no mask, which was a wonderful event on Saturday night, a concert, and we'll get to it in a minute.
Well, I just want to say, and I heard this on television today, that the people now that are most vulnerable are the unmasked people. Because the ones that aren't masked anymore, that are vaccinated, they're going to be okay. And so the percentages go down for us, but it's the people who aren't vaccinated are in more vulnerable position right now. So if you aren't vaccinated yet, just a thought.
It's just a real strong thought. And
you should be healthy.
And the thing is, people who probably aren't inclined to be vaccinated are probably the same people who are happy not to wear the masks anymore.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, that is a little bit scary still, but we continue to open up. As we speak, last night, Kauffman Stadium was made mask optional for baseball completely, and we're seeing more and more of that, and we'll talk about that next as we have the joys of speaking of a concert by the Mavericks at Knuckleheads on Saturday. Yes, we did get out and about and saw the joy that music and fellowship can bring, and we'll talk about that next on Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday. It's Danny and Jane's Reconcilable Differences with Danny and Jane right here on the Reasonably Irreverent podcast. There, I spit it out.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, there's all kinds of roofing companies in Kansas City. People see their trucks, they see their ads, they see their commercials on TV. What separates you out from the pack?
Danny, there's a lot of roofers in Kansas City that are good roofers that can put a good roof on, but we like to pride ourselves on giving you a good customer service experience. From the first time you call, you're going to get a friendly voice on the phone. We're going to let you know what's happening and when it's happening. And, the other piece is some companies are small enough to do small jobs. Some companies are big enough to do big jobs. We're right there in the middle. We can handle the little stuff. We can handle your repairs all the way up to your big commercial roofs.
So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you at Easton Roofing?
You can find us at eastonroofing.com, or you can always call us at 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it
There you
used
go.
on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company in Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses. And 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days. 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back, and as we dip our toe in the water, I think a little bit better than that now as real life continues, and we try to strive forward from what we hoped was just 2020, but obviously it peeled into 2021, and it was reflected in the fact that we were originally scheduled to see a concert by I think I said 18 months it seemed that long in the introduction. The concert that we saw on Saturday night was originally scheduled for May of 2020. Then it was rescheduled to September of 2020. Then it was rescheduled to this past Saturday, and it was rescheduled as a Friday and Saturday full show, one show each. As the date grew closer, it still wasn't a full capacity type of situation. There still was some caution being shown. They decided to turn it into two shows, unplugged, I guess with the hope that people would be less rambunctious and dancing around good luck, as we'll talk about here in a minute. And I went into the concert with a little bit of a quizzical nature because I've only seen the Mavericks plugged in, as it were. And I thought, well, maybe it will be a little, they'll lose that electricity. Wrong. It was unbelievable. The only difference was that they were sitting down. That is about the only difference there. Raul Malo, the wonderful singer, was an incredible voice. It seemed he always has a fine voice, but I think that somebody who tours, dozens and dozens of dates a year, if he takes time away from that, his voice can only get better, and he was in wonderful voice. And it was supposed to rain, and it looked like the show might be in some kind of jeopardy or we'd be under umbrellas or whatever. And that didn't happen, and in fact, the sun came out. I mean, it just turned into an incredibly serendipitous event.
Oh, it was fantastic. And to see everyone so excited to be out and commune with other people, even if you don't know them, there's something that we need to do that as humans. It's some weird thing that I know all the psychologists have figured out. But, I was thinking about with the band, they're probably just as nervous, especially before the CDC opened up, to actually have too rambunctious a crowd coming at them. And so I think if they tone it down, there's a tendency, especially pre-CDC, opening up, to have quite, there was a lot of dancing going on, which was awesome. And I was so excited for it. But I think that probably has been a little bit more dampered because even their sets were carefully worked out because of the tone and the nature of our society has been in the last year. They were very careful about the music they chose. I think in 2 weeks they may change that up a little bit.
Right, and so they did 2 shows each night. We went to the early show. Raul was very funny about that. He said that you've picked the early show, wise choice, because the second one just turns into a drunk fest. By the band, he meant. And it is a very unique band. I mean, we've talked about it before, but they combine so many different things of, Latin music, Cuban music, Tex-Mex, swing, country. I mean, just everything. They've got a brilliant horn section, and Jane has struck up a bit of a relationship with the saxophone player, Max.
Max,
who
he's
actually
so
lives
good.
in New York City. He lives in New York City, doesn't he?
Well, maybe I can't.
Yeah, he did, but maybe
Well,
he's
he was
moved
in
back.
Nashville, and then he was. I'm not sure now, but it's. I know they're just so good, and like jazz accordion, like phenom, that has been in the band for years, and also done duet work with Raul, which is just phenomenal. And he creates a sound with that instrument. A lot of people hate that instrument, but man, this guy knows how to make it. It's a different thing.
He does. He makes it sing. And Eddie Perez is the guitarist, who was for years the guitarist with Dwight Yoakam. There's many fantastic concert pictures of those two going a little wild, and he does that too in an electrified show with the Mavericks. But even just sitting there, I turned to the lady next to me. She was with her friend, and I said, well, Eddie's just about as sexy sitting down as he is standing up. And she goes, don't get me started.
I know. It's really hard not to salivate over Eddie. He's definitely there.
And they played music, and it also must have been really, this was, I think, this was their return to the stage. They've done some streaming shows, one of which that we watched on around Jane's birthday and around Valentine's Day. But also very special, too, that accordion player you referenced was mugged during the time of COVID outside a restaurant because he was Hispanic, apparently. It was thought to be a bit of a hate crime, and it was great to see him there, and I'm sure it was that feeling of cooperative nature of this band, which now members, they tour now with a female singer, too. It's 9 or 10 people.
Right,
and
she's from Cuba.
And that really, really is something that makes it special as well.
They're just, and Eddie said it in an article that we just read, they are so joyous. You feel joy as you're listening to them, and you can tell they feel joy when they're playing their music. And I can't say enough. I'm oddly enough, well, Latin music, I suppose, would be of real interest to me. But if you said to me, here's the genre, you're going to love it, I would go, are you kidding me? And then you go walking in and you're like, oh my God. It's
an unbelievable mix and smorgasbord, but as much, and this coincided with the mask mandate had been lifted. This was, as I said earlier, I think one of the first events that people maybe have attended in this situation, and these people outside were very ready for it. There couldn't have been more than 5 people who had masks on, and I spent a goodly portion of the show looking away from the stage, and we were up a level, and fantastic seats. I mean, we were about 30 feet from the stage, and just observing people and the joy that they were having. And most of these people are in their 40s and 50s at least,
Yes.
and many of them look like they probably never danced ever in their lives, maybe even at a wedding, and they just can't help it. Even Raul said at one point, I can see you dancing, and I can see you dancing in your chairs. and it's impossible not to. I mean, it's that type of music that has the effect on you, and you can see the transitory power of music. And I think in this case, it was the combination of music and the fellowship of being with others, maybe for the first time in a large group in a long, long time.
Well, and what was so great, and he talked about this, he thanked people for not only, taking the time to buy CDs and other products that they sell, but for other musical acts and any kind of artistic expression that people were willing to, help support during this time is so important. It's, the symphony's getting ready to open up. The opera is already doing some stuff outside with the baseball thing.
Right.
Sold out. That gives you some idea how important music and the arts are. I can't say enough. I think there's a lot of people that dismiss it and don't want to spend the time or money on it. But if there was nothing, if there was none, you can't survive. There's reasons why people were creating art in the caves. It is a human expression that cannot be squelched, even with COVID.
Absolutely. That's really a good way to come close to our conclusion, but not quite to our conclusion, because after our time before this show, I forgot to mention on our excursion back from St. Charles, the joys of a small town community were once again seen in a thing that is a real passion of Jane. We stopped in Monroe City, which is just past Hannibal, and it was lunchtime, and one place was not serving lunch anymore, and they said go over to
RJ's.
All right, something J's.
RJ's, RC's.
It's on the social media that you'll see, folks. So go check it out there.
I forgot the name already. Oh, you can't miss this.
2 initials, but yeah, 2 initials in Monroe City. You'll find it, and they had fried chicken, and you were happy.
Oh my God, it was like the best. It was pan fried, everybody, pan fried. And it was a small, old place. You'd never guess it was completely kind of redone, and a lovely chocolate cream pie. What can I say? Multiple pie options. And they also own the bar next door, see whatever's to your liking. But, it was just fun. You can have fun no matter where you are if you appreciate small little things like fried chicken.
Right. And Monroe City actually is about 17,000 people. So It's not even that small. And it's... When we go on these driving things, it's always close to my heart, because we've done a trip like that together. I did the trip that I wrote my book about, and these communities have a certain similarity out in America. Some smaller, 2,000 or 3,000 people, some a little bit larger, like Monroe City, but they all have certain charms. Certainly, I don't think I would have wanted to grow up or live in one of those places necessarily, but... you grew up in Newton. That's a suburb. I mean, let's face it.
No, it wasn't. It was 12,000 people when I was there, and it's
it's really a suburb of Wichita.
No, it's not. It feels like that now, but it wasn't then.
Anyway, no knock on Newton, but I'm just saying. For me, suburban kid, I probably wouldn't want to grow up. Monroe City is a fairly decent size, but to live in a town of 2,000 or 3,000 people where everybody knows who you are, I don't know if that would be much for me. But to pass through and to see the people and envision what their life must be like, I find it wonderful.
You know what I laughed at when we were sitting there? You didn't notice this, but there was that kind of older couple that walked in, and they were being careful where they sat, still COVID thinking. And they sat in like the window, the table by the window, and you could tell they were sussing out the crowd. It was like a small town mentality. I shouldn't be like this, but it took them a while, and they broke the ice once they realized we looked like an okay couple. And then they talked to us while we were walking out. It was a very different attitude when we left versus when they were walking in. They were sussing us out.
So funny. Brookfield, Missouri, and Monroe City, check out lunch there. And as you switch your emphasis from I-70 to 36, highly recommend it for your excursions to the St. Louis area. And it just was wonderful to be back in the mix a little bit, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. And with you, my dear.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Cinematic Visions, an affordable and award-winning solution for professional media production since 2003.